Multiple Suid-Afrika se jaarlikse Transformation Symposium is onlangs in Johannesburg aangebied. Produsente wat klein begin het en vandag merkwaardige groei toon is vereer. Een van die suksesverhale is die van Aldrin Lawrence van Buisoekboerdery naby Vivo. Hulle boer tans op 11.000 hektaar.
Ons het 'n bestuurskomitee wat die plaas wat na elke 3 jaar verkies word, wat nou soos gronde uitdeel aan. Ek is daar gebore, groot geword. My pa was maar self een onderhoudende boer. En ons moes as kinders, jy weet, vanaf jy groot genoeg is en kan hardloop en nie, hardloop en val nie, moes ons hom bystaan met sy boerdery. Hy het maar hoofsaaklik groente geplant, wat hy in die, jy weet, aan die gemeenskap verkoop, en het ook so 'n bietjie in Louis-Trichardt het hy 'n markstalletjie gehad, waarby hy sy varsprodukte, omdat dit nou alle groentes, beetwortels, plaarslaai, tamaties. Ek het toe na skool was ek baie, ek was eintlik bietjie kwaad vir boerdery, want dat het vir my gevoel of dat net nie 'n toekoms in boerdery en landbou is nie, omdat ek na my pa se omstandighede, jy weet, ek kon nooit sommer net 'n splinter nuwe bakkie koop nie, maar ek kon homself onderhou altyd, ek kon sy voertuig laat regmaak, maar dit het vir my gevoel of jy maar net van die hand na die mond lewe as jy boer. En ek het toe gaan werk, ek was bietjie op RAI, vir 'n tyd, ek wou eintlik Kaap toe gaan, sover wou ek vanaf 'n plaas gekom, maar toe was daar nie 'n akkommodasie van my, so ek was toe RAI toe, daarna het ek in die bank besig gaan werk, miskien so 4 jaar, en intussen het ek toe getrou, toe daar kinders gekom, en toe my kinders nou begin ook op die loopstadium kom, en ek kyk na die kwaliteit van lewe in die staat in, toe ek gesê nee, ek glo nie, dis die plek waar ek my kinders graag wil groot maak nie. So toe ek dit nou sterk oorweeg om terugplaas toe. My pa was ook 'n bietjie ouer en hy het ook gevoel dat hy is reg om af te tree, en jy weet, dit sal jammer is as nie een van ons kinders die boerdery kan oorvat nie. Ek is toe plaas toe so in 1992, waar ek saam met my pa geboer het. Ek het nou die varsprodukte, markie het ek nou bedryf, en ons het maar nog groente geplant, soos hy maar aangegaan. Hy het maar vir my geleer, jy weet, hoe hy dit doen, en ons het nog die beeste was maar altyd, het het maar soos die bank gedien. Soos het maar so aangegaan, en die groente markstalletjie het hulle toe verkoop in Louis-Trichardt, so tot ons nie weer afset gehad vir die groente, en daarna het ons toe begin met braaikekens boer. Braaikekens het redelik goed gedoen, ons het 'n bietjie uitgebrei, en ek het maar van die gelde het ek maar nou gebruik want ek is geregtig op landbougrond op Beesdorp, wat bietjie groter was. My pa geboer het was maar 5 hektaar grond. So ek het gekwalifiseer vir 30 hektaar grond vanaf die gemeenskap, en ons het toe, ek het toe, soos met die profeet wat ek maak hier die hoenders, het ek maar begin ontwikkel aan die, dat het my baie lang gevat, want ek kon nie, ons het nie titelaktes gehad nie, so jy kan nie na 'n kommersiële bank toe gegaan vir lenings nie. Ek het toe in 2017 was die plek gereed vir die plant van aardappels, het ek 'n vriend van my, wat 'n kommersiële boer is, en ook 'n vriend, het my aanbeveel dat ek liewer aardappels, omdat dit is nuwe grond, en ek het genoeg water, en het gesê, aardappels gee jy net so bietjie, jy weet, jy kry net so bietjie meer uit. Dit is een van die groentesoort wat is duur om te plant, maar die opbrengs is net so bietjie hoër as al die. In my eerste jaar het ek toe aangesluit deur VKB, het my toe voorgestel aan Aardappels Suid-Afrika se Enterprise Developing Program, En ek het toe afgesluit, hulle het 'n 5 jaar program, wat hulle in die eerste jaar gee hulle 100% moere. En van daar af word dit verminder met elke keer 15%. So jy betaal eerste jaar niks, en tweede jaar betaal jy 15%, en dan 25, 50, 75, tot jy uit die programme. So dit het my baie gehelp, want toe kon ek baie goeie gesertifiseerde saad kry gratis. Kijk, mentorskap vir 'n nuwe boer is so belangrik. Ek glo nie jy kan 'n sukses maak as jy nie met enige mentorskap het nie. Jy gaan vinnig, want jy gaan fout op fout maak, en dit is so duur om te boer, dat jy voor jy die foute kan regstel, dan is jy seker klaar geboer. So mentorskap is een van die mees belangrikste. As jy nie niks weet van, of baie min weet van boerdery, dan moet jy vir jou mentor kry. En ek dink alle boere wat nou suksesvol is, het op een of ander manier mentorskap gehad, of dit nou hulle paans was wat hulle gementor of iets, maar ja, mentorskap is baie belangrik. Ja, kyk, in my geval, omdat ek nie grond tot by my beskikking het, was het moeilik. Maar omdat Aardappel Suid-Afrika en VKB 'n verhouding, of hulle besluit, hulle werk saam. So VKB het 'n landbouontwikkeling afdeling wat nou spesifiek kyk na boere wat die potensiaal het om hulle skuld te kan terugbetaal en 'n sukses te gaan maak. Dan kom besoek hulle jou, en ek het deur dieselfde proses, het VKB kom kyk, en hulle het gekyk, en die feit dat ek 'n kommersiële mentor gehad het ook in my guns getel, want dit maak net dit soveel makliker dat dit, jy weet, my oes gaan 'n sukses wees.
My name is Angelo Peterson. I'm the non-executive chairperson of the National Agricultural Marketing Council. We are responsible for administering levies, the Agricultural Industry Trust, and a research component on behalf of the Department of Agriculture. So I want to talk to you about the dualism in agriculture. The NAMC provides levies and trust funds to the commodity bodies, which they then use to train emerging farmers. They use it for research, and 20% of the levy is spent on transformation. After having done this for almost 15 years, we still find a situation where only 10% more or less of agricultural farmers are black and have not been mainstream, with largely large commercial agribusinesses taking the majority of agribusiness. And what this means is that although funding has been invested in this process, it may not be enough, and we need to look at maybe how we deploy these funds to get a better return, because at this stage we should maybe have been around the 20% mark. So it certainly begs the question is, how do you use the funding that you've got at the moment? And that's a question I will pose to the commodity organizations to get an enhanced impact, to see if we can lift that 10% and accelerate it in the next couple of years. Yeah, the infrastructure challenges that we've experienced in South Africa with load shedding and more recently the logistics challenges has had a devastating effect on emerging farmers. These farmers are fairly marginal. They have to make upfront payments for input costs. When things like load shedding hit, they have to have different irrigation times. They have to buy diesel to obviously get the irrigation systems going. And it is an additional cost on the business, which these businesses cannot afford, and it will therefore make it unsustainable. So it's critical that we fix the infrastructure challenges of the country, otherwise we'll really reverse the gains we would have made with transformation. Yeah, look, I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I think in the ports they're getting traction in fixing it with the National Logistics Crisis Committee. I think hopefully Eskom is getting its house in order. But also the Agricultural Master Plan speaks to the use of partnerships to enhance impact and to make sure that we use our funding, our brains trust, our resources smartly to empower more black farmers. And the Agricultural Master Plan, through its value chain roundtables, are positioned to exactly do that.
So the South African agricultural sector has a reasonably higher farm debt, which is just over 200 billion rands. But the interesting thing, or the positive thing about that, is that much of that debt has not been utilized to buy frivolous things. It's actually been reinvested back into businesses, which is why if you were to think about the potential of where this sector is going, it actually has a positive growth trajectory, some of it because of those investments that has been made. They've been made across all subsectors of our agriculture and across many of our commodities. And if then the commercial sector grows and it continues to access export markets, that opens up room also for black farmers that are coming into the sector, and some having been part of that farm debt that is there and being reinvested back in the sector for inclusive growth in the years ahead. I mean, agriculture is one of the sectors that has a higher employment multipliers. If just today you consider the people that have been employed in primary agriculture, we have roughly around about 956,000 people in primary agriculture and about 450,000 people in agro-processing. So when you consider, though, the expansion that we could still make in agriculture of something that is over 2 million hectares in farmland, that means that more opportunities for jobs there, but also agro-processing that would come alongside with that. It means more jobs in processing. So all in all, this is a sector that can absorb, and I think that the million jobs that Mohamed Karan and the others talked about in NDP is still something that is possible to be closer to. For transformation to take place in South Africa, there's a number of things that needs to be resolved. Some of them are not specifically targeted to the new entrant farmers in the sector, but broadly about how the sector is functioning. If you think about the municipalities that are failing, the roads that are deteriorating, ports that are not properly functioning, agricultural financing that needs to be refinement, those are all of the aspects that needs to be addressed in order for us to begin to see this sector growing and also transformation in turn taking place. Because if there are still constraints to growth of the commercial farmers, it means then that the partnerships that could follow will also be limited. So we need to really resolve this so that the path for new entrance farmers is also slightly easier. And that lies in the hands of private sector and the government.
What I can say is that the future for transformation looks brighter than how it looked 10 years ago. The work that we've done over the years has basically become a portfolio that we use to get more partners to invest in us. So coming from a program where we were planting 40 hectares to now planting over 200 hectares planted by black farmers, I think the future looks bright. More collaboration can actually enhance it because, as you all know, we operate with statutory levy and it's very limited. So the more investors we get, the more partners we get, and which was the whole purpose of this event. I see us becoming commercial, having more commercial farmers sooner than planned.
I'm a farmer, emerging farmer. I have won a Farmer of the Year award. I plant potatoes, 70 hectares. I plant maize, I plant soyas. I'm happy, I'm very happy, and I'm very thankful to Potato South Africa. To my fellow farmers, especially the emerging farmers, I would say it is very important to put an effort, to work hard. Farming, there's no way you can remote it. You have your footprint. The best fertilizer for your soil, for your farmer, is your footprints on the farm. You have to be on the farm, you have to work your farm, you have to know your lands, you have to follow the crop, you have to understand the crop, and you have to make sure that you take all the advices you get from the other farmers.
And it's a real privilege to be at the Transformation Symposium. It's an honor to be part of this process and to see farmers develop and become full-scale commercial farmers is a real privilege, and it's a real honor to be part of that process. I recently read an article on vision and what vision entails, and the interesting part is they talk about a church in Germany or a town in Germany that wanted to build a church in the early 1700s. And the first thing they did when they decided to build that church is to literally plant trees all around the church terrain. And they said, but we're planting these trees because by the time our children finish this church, we will have wood to make the beams of the roof of the church. And to me, that exemplifies what farming is about, because most farmers never do it for themselves. They do it for the next generation, and especially these guys that's first generation farmers, to see them building a dream for their children and creating something that only their children will really benefit from is to me really inspiring, and it's a privilege to be part of that process.
Control to Fortuna, you're heading into uncharted territory. Over.
Copy that, Control. We've got this.
Some rough terrain coming up. Engage 4x4.
Roger that. Engaged.
Mission complete, Dad.
The all-new Toyota Fortuner.
Control, we have a problem.
Reimagine the luxury of freedom.